Real men didn't carry umbrellas. For most of history, that wasn't a joke. It was the rule. The story starts with shade, not rain. In ancient Assyria and Egypt, a parasol held over a king or a pharaoh was a mark of pure status, a servant's job, a symbol that you were important enough to never feel the sun. The Assyrians carved it into palace reliefs almost 4,000 years ago, sunshades trailing royal processions like a second crown. Ancient Greece inherited the parasol and gendered it almost immediately. Vase paintings show women carrying them constantly, shading their pale skin, a mark of refinement. Men who carried one, on the other hand, risked outright mockery. The playwright Aristophanes used a parasol as a punchline, a way to paint a man as unmanly, weak, better suited to female company than to public life. That association, umbrella equals feminine, would haunt the object for the next 2,000 years. China solved the rain problem first, and separately. Chinese craftsmen had been waterproofing paper with oil and stretching it over bamboo ribs for centuries, producing a genuinely rain-ready umbrella long before Europe managed the same trick. Legend credits the invention to the wife of the carpenter Liu Ban, who supposedly built the first folding version by watching children hold lotus leaves over their heads in a storm. True or not, the oiled paper umbrella was standard equipment across China well before the concept meant anything to a European. Rome had its own version, the umbraculum, a folding sunshade carried mostly by women and their servants. More fashion than function. But when the empire fell, the umbrella largely fell with it. For most of the Middle Ages in Europe, the object all but disappeared from daily life. It survived almost exclusively in ceremony, most famously as the canopy carried over the Pope in religious processions, a symbol of authority rather than an answer to bad weather. An ordinary person caught in the rain simply got wet or found a doorway. Italy brought it back first. By the Renaissance, wealthy Italians and then the French had revived the parasol as a fashion accessory, an item for elegant women to be seen with at court, still almost entirely about sun and status rather than rain. The idea of a man using one to stay dry on a rainy street remained for the moment unthinkable, which brings us to London and to one very stubborn Englishman. In 1750, a merchant and philanthropist named Jonas Hanway began carrying a folding umbrella through the rainy streets of the city. People stared. Children laughed. Worst of all, hackney coach drivers hated him, reasoning that if gentlemen could simply walk through a downpour under their own private shelter, nobody would ever need to hail a cab again. Coachmen reportedly pelted him with mud, and satirical cartoonists had a field day depicting the fussy, effeminate umbrella-carrying man as a figure of ridicule. Hanway kept carrying it anyway, every day for roughly 30 years, rain or shine, until his death in 1786. By then, quietly and gradually, London had stopped laughing. Umbrella sales climbed. Other men started carrying them too, and the association with effeminacy, so entrenched for 2,000 years, finally began to crack. The design itself still needed catching up. 18th and early 19th century umbrellas used heavy, expensive whalebone ribs that sagged, split, and made the whole object cumbersome. The breakthrough came in 1852, when the English steel manufacturer Samuel Fox patented a lightweight, steel-ribbed frame, marketed as the Paragon. Steel was cheaper than whalebone, sprang back into shape reliably, and could be mass-produced at a scale wood and bone never allowed. Sheffield, already a center for cutlery and steel, became an umbrella manufacturing hub almost overnight. Mass production did the rest of the work etiquette couldn't. Once factories could stamp out steel-ribbed frames by the thousands, umbrellas became cheap enough for the growing middle class, and the last trace of the item's stigma faded into ordinary usefulness. One more redesign made the umbrella something you could actually carry around without thinking about it. In 1928, a German engineer named Hans Haupt invented the telescoping pocket umbrella, a design that collapsed down, small enough to fit in a bag or a coat, sold under the brand name NURPS, which quickly became the generic German word for any compact umbrella, the way some people say Kleenex for any tissue. By the mid-20th century, the umbrella had completed its transformation, from royal status symbol to feminine fashion accessory to universal, unremarkable household object, hanging by the door of practically every home in the industrialized world. Modern engineering keeps refining it. Windproof, vented canopies resist turning inside out in a gust. Reverse folding designs let you close a wet umbrella without soaking yourself or your car seat. None of it is as dramatic as Jonas Hanway walking through mud-slinging coachmen, but it's the same basic object, still doing the same basic job. And in places like Japan, the wagasa never really gave up its original, older purpose. Traditional oiled paper umbrellas are still used deliberately for both rain and sun, a living reminder that shade came first and rain protection was the upgrade. So the next time you grab an umbrella off the hook without a second thought, remember, this object spent 2,000 years as a symbol of femininity so strong that one Englishman had to endure 30 years of public mockery just to make it acceptable for men to stay dry. Follow for the next object.